So hey y'all, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. So by the title, we're going to be doing yet again another random opinions about random things. This series does tend to get people's panties in a bunch, so remember that these are opinions and not facts. These are literally just things that I think of randomly throughout my week and then give them to y'all in a video form. So I would love to hear some of y'all's popular, unpopular, or random opinions down below, so make sure y'all do let me know. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So my first opinion is there is no such thing as American cuisine. I think the only group of Americans that actually have their own food are Black Americans. Everything else is some type of adaptation of another culture, whether it be Chinese food, pizza, tacos, and then some. Even chicken wings, I initially thought that they were created in Buffalo, New York, since they are called buffalo wings, but I looked into that and that's not even all the way accurate. I remember in grade school, one of my geography teachers asked our class, what exactly is American cuisine? And everyone would say stuff like pizza or burritos or whatever. And then the teacher explained to us that all of these things are Americanized adaptations of food indigenous to other cultures. And I think this is all facts. Like maybe apple pie is American, but I don't think that is cuisine. It's more or less a smaller dish of food that is indigenous to America. But when you think about the American diet, most of it is just what other cultures have brought to the stolen land. But it makes sense. I mean, America is made up of immigrants or people whose ancestry alludes to them coming to America against their will. And the history of America is mainly what other ethnic groups have brought into America. So I find it interesting that there really isn't such a thing as American food. Black Americans and soul food is really the only group of people that I think have their own food in America. But I guess for the non-coloreds, most of what they consider American food really isn't even American. My next opinion is I think the mullet hairstyle is actually cute. Like, I'm loving how some women can rock the mullet, and it's definitely giving something. I think it's something that is more of an acquired taste because it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I guess this is a super unpopular opinion, being that I think it actually looks cute. I don't think I could rock the hairstyle, but I'm not against the mullet. I like the mohawk type of aspect to it, but also the fact that it has a little bit more length in certain cases to kind of make it look a little bit more feminine and modern. I've been seeing a lot of people do the mullet hairstyle on TikTok and on Instagram, and I don't think the majority of women would hop on this wave, but I think it's something different to me, and it really is avant-garde. My next opinion is the show Teen Mom / 16 and Pregnant most definitely lowered teenage pregnancy rates. I remember when the show first came out in 2009, I was like in the 7th grade, and everybody was talking about this. Back then, MTV was way more appealing, and people actually still enjoyed watching MTV, and Teen Mom was like the newest show that was shocking because a lot of us didn't realize how frequent teenage pregnancy really is, and how the reality of it isn't as pretty as what we try to make it seem when we are in our preteens and teenage years. So I remember it started off with the show 16 and Pregnant, which was like a docu-series of teenagers during their pregnancy, leading up to labor and delivery, and then chronicling a few months into the baby being born. And I thought 16 and Pregnant was actually a good show because not only was it physical birth control for me, but I liked seeing that it had different characters each episode so that the storyline was different each time. When they branched off into the Teen Mom show and selected a few of the standout girls to continue the franchise, I think that's when the show lost and also gained its appeal. But I think because we were watching a lot of these young teenagers have to struggle, cry, break up, and everything, it definitely lowered teenage pregnancy rates. And I feel like there's this narrative or this statistic that says that it glamorized teenage pregnancy, but I don't think it did. I truly think it showed a lot of people the reality of what it means to be a teenage mother, or even in a lot of cases, be a single mother. And it woke a lot of young women up. I remember watching it and I was just like, hell no, this is not for me. I'm not having sex until marriage. Now, that didn't happen. However, I do think it made people way more cautious of being careless with their sexual partners and trying to prevent that surge of teenage pregnancies that happened in the 90s. Although I think the show fell off because the women are way too old to call themselves teen moms and they're living very affluent lives because of the success of the show, I still think that the show alone helped to lower teenage pregnancy rates and at first gave an authentic reality of being a teen mom. My next opinion is I'm tired of the girls who sell outfits. Like, I'm not mad, get your money, I like to support, but it's like every girl is selling clothes from China as if their stuff is different than the next girl's stuff. And I think that's why fashion has really died, because we're all buying the same pieces and they're definitely at a surplus. And when the market is saturated with the same thing, it just becomes less appealing. We need to bring back fashion. I might do a video about the war on fashion because I feel like there hasn't been anything stylish in quite some time. Everything's about name brand or just showing off your cooter cat to the public. Like, there's really no in between. And I feel like with a lot of these boutique owners and girls who sell clothes on Facebook and Instagram, I'm not mad at you, but you're not really a fashion person or expert. You're just a reseller. You're buying trendy clothes that are cheaply made from China and you're reselling it for profit in the United States or wherever. That's not a business model that is hard to do, let alone interesting enough to consider yourself someone who is really into fashion. Shout out to all the seamstresses and designers that really make their own patterns and come up with different pieces that are unique, because they are definitely the most underappreciated people in the world of the arts. I'm just over the China-based fashion companies that keep popping up. No, I don't want to buy fashion by Fiona when I can get the same exact outfit from Clothes by Chloe right here in my city. This is why if you ever see me out, I'm probably going to be in sweats and a hoodie with my own brand on it, because I don't even care about fashion as much as I used to. It's been played out by the ghetto fabulous influencers that push name brand down our throats, in addition to the girlies who are selling clothes that they picked from China. I feel like even if you do sell clothes from China, you just have to know how to style them. And that's what's really missing these days. Style. I have a homegirl that does own a boutique, but the way how she puts her fashion together, it makes you want to buy it because she mixes different pieces and makes it look way more unique. I don't know, y'all. I'm just over it. There's too many people selling the same exact clothes, and the market to me is dead and not interesting. My next opinion is Pop Smoke would have been the biggest artist out right now had he not passed away. I firmly believe this. I think he has such a big star power, a distinct voice, a new sound, a different swag, and he repopularized that drill music sound during that time. Pop Smoke to me would have been bigger than Lil Baby and a lot of the new school male rappers that have been out. I just wish that what happened to him didn't happen, because it's been a while since I've looked at an artist and liked everything about them. And I really like Lil Baby too, I really do. I've said that I think he's probably the best rapper out of the new school, and he definitely does his thing. But I think Pop Smoke and him would have rivaled in a sense, but a friendly rivalry, like frenemies. They are two different artists, but they were coming up around the same time, kind of. And I just think Pop Smoke had everything that people were looking for. I also can't even think of another new school artist that he reminds me of. I mean, for the old school, he definitely is reminiscent of 50 Cent. I've seen and I understand those comparisons. I see how 50 was invested in Pop Smoke, and it makes sense. It's just not fair, and I usually don't get invested in any type of artist like that because it takes a lot to impress me, but I was looking forward to Pop Smoke's success and his come up. I don't think there'll ever be another Pop Smoke, but I definitely think that if he was still alive, he would have definitely been the biggest artist out right now. My next opinion is I'm all for size diversity, but I think in certain industries where it doesn't make sense to include everyone, that's not always a bad thing. So, for example, in my last Random Opinions video, I talked about NFL cheerleaders needing to be able to make more money. And as I was looking for photos for the video, I noticed that in 99% of the pictures, most of the women were thin, athletic body type, and had a very distinct look. And I feel like in an era of diversity, it does make sense that in places where different women should be represented, they are getting that representation. In the fashion industry, I think having a dictation between a plus size model is good and necessary because plus size women need clothes, they wear clothes, and they do love fashion. And of course, the same thing goes for something like professional cheerleading. But I think when doing something with that much physical demand, your body is supposed to look a certain way. In certain cases, I think we go overboard with the whole diversity thing because I don't think it's practical for a 300+ pound cheerleader to be on an NFL sideline. And I know people are going to say that's fat phobic or fat shaming, but I think it makes sense that pro cheerleaders look the way that they do. They are there to appeal to the viewers and also do a physically demanding job in which between the uniforms and the splits and the double pirouettes, you're definitely going to have to be in shape, probably on the thinner end, and can easily execute all of the moves. And not to say that a bigger person can't, but in most cases, they can't. Let's be real. So I think diversity is great, and in certain industries, it does make sense, but I don't think there has to be a pushback every single time there are specific physical standards for things. Sometimes it just makes more sense to include and select people who have a certain look depending on the job. My next opinion is wearing bonnets in public is ghetto as hell, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's way too many black women who make excuses for wearing a bonnet out in public, and I'm sorry, that is to me considered an undergarment. You're supposed to wear it to sleep, so it's not meant to be seen in public. It's not a hat, it's not an accessory, it's protective wear. It's like wearing a robe out in public. You wouldn't do that. I think that, of course, there are a lot of reasons as to why the image of black women isn't seen as equal to or more than other demographics of women, but we do add to a lot of the downfall sometimes. And I think one of the things that negatively affects our appearance is being underdressed in public spaces. Wearing a bonnet out is just not it. You can simply wear a beanie or a baseball cap or even a headscarf. That's better than a bonnet. I wouldn't do the scarf though. But I think as black women, I will always be on the side of agreeing that wearing a bonnet in public is ghetto. It's not a good look for our imagery, and I wish a lot more black women would get on code with this and just embrace whatever comes out of your head. I also feel like there's no hairstyle that can't be maneuvered to look decent in public. Like, even if your braids are old, you can always put them in a ponytail and go about your day. Or if your natural hair isn't styled, you can always put it in a bun or a fro and go about your day. There's no reason to wear a bonnet in public. We have got to stop this. My next opinion is people like to deny that someone can be brown skinned, and I think it's because people keep considering biracial women light-skinned black women when they're not. They're not even black women. There, I said it. Have y'all noticed that there is an erasure of what people consider brown skin? People just loop anybody that either doesn't have yellow undertones or doesn't pass the brown paper bag test as dark skin, and it's not necessarily always wrong. However, I do think that being brown skin is a thing, and I don't like that people try to say that brown skin is a way to disassociate yourself from being dark skin, because I don't think it's that. I think if we can all acknowledge that black people come in so many different shade ranges, then we could acknowledge that there's something in between being lighter skinned and being darker skinned. Just 10 years ago, we were all complaining that when we go to the beauty supply store or any makeup store, there are only 3 foundation shades for black women. And of course, now that we have brands like Fenty and every other brand that copied off of Rihanna that provide a vast majority of shade ranges, we know that there's more shade ranges. So clearly there are multiple shades of being a person of color, and in this case a black person, that being brown skinned is very much a thing. A lot of this is relative to your surroundings. For example, I noticed that when I went to Nigeria, a lot of people considered me fair skinned, but here in the States where you can see more diversity and more race mixing, I would definitely not be considered a light skinned person. I would never even call myself that. The other day I posted a video and I referenced the City Girls, and I said that one is brown skinned and the other one is dark skinned. And some comments said that they're both dark skinned and that they didn't see a difference between the two. And I just feel like that's really dismissive, because there is a clear distinction and you can't say that there's not. I've always considered myself brown skinned, but I do get that sometimes it can be used interchangeably with being dark skinned because you're not light skinned. So it does get confusing. Nonetheless, I think there is an in-between, and trying to group everybody as dark skinned when they may not be that deep of a hue, but also not light skinned, is pushing away a shade range that definitely exists. My next opinion is Coiler Ray proved everybody wrong by being a TikTok artist, but being successful. I remember how everyone would just downplay her and say that she only makes TikTok songs and dance music, and the girl has been so successful, so popular, and literally has one of the top songs on TikTok at this moment. Right now on Billboard Top 10, Coi Leray is within Top 10. I can only imagine what money she's making off of her streams, and I think people were just ignorant to the new phase of music. Streams matter more than record sales these days, and there's a lot of artists that rack up their streams from TikTok, and it works for them. If we're being real, I think a lot of people thought Coi Leray would be a one-hit wonder or only be popping for a short amount of time, but her name is still out there. I will say that her XXL freshman performance was all around trash. I just have to keep it real. She did not use her platform correctly. She did not look like a real rapper or a real artist, and I will never forget her telling everybody that we all get money. Yeah, we all get money. Yeah, like that joint was hilarious. I will forever laugh at that. However, I think it's clear as day that she is simply a social media artist that makes music for people to have fun to. She makes bops, and there's a lot of female rap artists that solely make bops. Hell, that's what the majority of female rap is these days. They're not here to be lyrical. They're not here to give you bars. They're not here to deliver high quality music. But for some reason, a lot of that is sticking. Hence why you have a lot of female artists that really aren't musically embellished, but they are very successful at what they do. I think we're just in that era, and I think Coiler Ray most definitely made people eat their words because her visibility with her music is definitely very big. My last opinion is, I mean this in the least disrespectful way possible, but black people have got to overtake the Chinese-owned beauty supply stores. It's actually ridiculous. I find it crazy that no matter where you go in the United States, you can walk into any beauty supply store and just know that it is not black-owned, but it's definitely promoted to black women. And I think it's about time that something be done about this. One of the biggest problems I think black people have here in America is that there's no ownership for black people. And a lot of black people don't know how to gain that ownership. And there's been a lot of headway and success that has been made with the whole movement of something being black owned. That really came about during the pandemic and a little bit before that. And I want to see it done in the beauty community. I think that it is culturally inappropriate that in order for a black woman to buy or wear or promote beauty products that are made for us, we have to go and give our money to a community that isn't us. And on top of that, doesn't necessarily have any alliance to black people. China is most definitely infiltrating Africa and colonizing a lot of different different things there. And nobody talks about this, so maybe I will in another video. But Chinese infiltration is so heavy in Black communities worldwide. And in America, it's really through urban communities and low-income communities. I literally go to the beauty supply store all the time, and none of the workers can tell me about a lot of the products that they're selling. But they're sitting here getting thousands of dollars in business grants, as well as thousands of dollars in business revenue, and living very comfortably because the one thing that they have over Black people is ownership. They own these businesses, they own these stores, and they're owning a market that we're buying into. And it's actually absurd. I think there must be a push for Black people to start owning these beauty supply stores. And I've been to a few that are Black owned, and I hate to say this, but a lot of times it was ghetto as hell in there. And that may be what is turning people off, but at the same time, I'd rather take that versus knowing that the people that are reaping the most benefit off of Black beauty are not even Black. I have an idea, and I'll probably reach out to some other YouTubers who I know from the beauty community or just the commentary community and see if we can do something about this, because it does irritate me. It's like you can go anywhere in the United States and probably in other countries too, and there's an Asian person that owns the Black beauty supply stores. And to me, the infiltration that is happening in Africa from the Chinese is exactly what is happening in Black America as well. It's time for us to wake up and take ownership of things that could be benefiting Black communities worldwide. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your opinions on my opinions down below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. Y'all, my song ceremony is dropping this week. I hope you guys are ready for it. And lastly, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.
I'm looking good, incredible. Cut a nigga off, I'm coming through like a semicolon. Mansion in the motherland, December come, that's where we going. Body have my niggas frozen, niggas put my picture up, and yeah, they go and get the lotion. And I'm the one they check up on. Feeling so lucky, getting green like a leprechaun. Run a few